Torturing Remans always leaves behind the biggest mess. Ransom and Shax have hot fudge sundaes for well-earned cheat day. And Narge has a hard time telling non-botanical creatures apart. Hello, everybody, and welcome to The Seventh Rule with Cirroc Lofton.
Hello, hello.
My name is Ryan T. Husk, and today we're doing a review of Star Trek Lower Decks, Season 4, Episode 2, I Have No Bones, Yet I Must Flee, written by Aaron Burdett, directed by Megan Lloyd. This is a crazy freaking episode. What do you say, Cirroc?
I have no bones yet. I must flee. That title was kind of like when I first read it, I was like, "What is this? A play on some like Bones from the original Star Trek or some kind of But I guess it was more about the movie. But yeah, the title right off the top, I was like,
yeah, you know what's funny about that is just now, while I was reading it out loud, is when it hit me. That's why I kind of like fudged over my own words, was because I was thinking as I read, I have no bones, but I must flee. I was like, oh, wait, it's kind of like when they were doing the thing. And I'm like, wait, Ryan, you have a job to do. Focus. But yeah, so I thought the same thing. When we first heard the title, I didn't really know where we were going. But just now, upon revisiting it, some people were saying it's reminiscent of a couple original series episodes, like you were saying, actually. Yeah.
Yeah. So the title right off the top, like it, because the first episode too, Vix, is like, okay, I know where we're going with this. This is going to be something that I, mentally prepared for. With this one, I kind of really didn't know where it was going to go, especially with the opening scene with was it the Romulans?
Yep.
So I wasn't sure. And didn't we end the last episode with the Klingons running into that ship that's like destroying everybody or something?
Oh, yes. So they're definitely all connected. I wonder if they're going to be doing this the entire season. But before we get into all that, everybody, please make sure to go to patreon.com/the seventh rule. If you like what we're doing, if you want to support our show, you can become a patron for just $1 a month. That's incredible. What a deal. And it actually makes a huge difference to us. So we'd really appreciate it if you go to patreon.com, look up the seventh rule, and become a monthly patron, or just go to patreon.com/the seventh rule. We would love to have you part of our team. Really appreciate it. All right. So, we've got the Klingons first, the Romulans second. Who's that ship gonna blow up next? Is it going to be the Vulcans? Is it going to be the Cardassians? Might be fun.
Yeah. This ship is definitely going to be a big storyline because it made a debut in these first two episodes now. And I'm wondering, like, what's the technology? Is it from the future? Is it what is this race of people or entity that has control of this ship? And that's the big kind of cliffhanger so far. But I wanted to ask you about the opening scene with the Romulans. Were there any Easter eggs that I missed, like references to certain things? Because they kept talking about basically backstabbing, betraying the Romulan leader of their unit, right? And was that a reference to the Is that something that the Romulans do, like this kind of backstabbing, kind of backdooring that they do of each other?
Well, backstabbing.
Backstabbing. Okay.
They really do, and they, Lower Decks is great at getting kind of something that the fans recognize and really hammering the point home. Yeah, they're deceitful, they're sneaky, but it takes Lower Decks for us to realize, oh yeah, they're right. They do a lot of that sneaky backstabbing, and like the one commander that was like, you can backstab me all you want, or you can kill me, but whatever it was, I'll have to look up the well, whatever it
Yeah,
was, he's just like,
yeah. He was saying something like, "You can betray me all you want. I've been stabbing people on the back way
right.
before you were ever
But I
in."
draw the line at whatever the thing was. That was very funny. Yeah, I've been stabbing.
Yeah.
The other guy said, I've been stabbing superiors in the back since before your mother for whatever, you know.
Yeah.
And the other one says, you wouldn't know a scheme from a conspiracy. So anyway, they really now, but I realized midway through, I'm taking notes on this, I'm having fun, and I realized midway through this scene, I was like, wait a minute, these guys are all going to die, just like the Klingon thing. I don't need to know these characters. I'm like trying to memorize their names. I'm like,
me too.
I'm like Sub Commander Vrek. Okay, did they say Vek or Vrek? I'm like, and
me
I was
too.
Like, wait a second, I don't need to remember. They're going to die.
I wrote all this stuff down. I was actually looking up to see if Commander Vrek, because it sounded familiar, right? I was like, is Commander Vrek somebody that we've seen in the past? Is this some kind of, nugget of information that I need to know? Like, what is this? Is this an Easter egg? And then I realized, like you did at some point, I'm like, wait a minute. That's nothing to do with anything. I don't need to know any of these people. This is just all like, filling up the story for the larger kind of ship that they're bringing into the show. But it's really not about these characters and these Romulans at all.
Right. I mean, looking up Vrek, the only thing I can find is something related to Voltron, which is pretty cool too, but not what we're looking for. I think it was just made up characters that we got to know. They tricked us again. I believe the first episode ended with Klingons getting destroyed. The second episode began with this scene, just to kind of throw us for a loop. Now, one thing before we move on to the next stuff, is they did mention Remans cleanup duty from, torturing a Reman, and the other sub commander was like, Remans always leave, Reman juice always leaves stains, or what did he say? Something like that. So Remans, are
what
one
is
of
Reman juice?
Well, I guess that. I don't know, but Remans are actually one of my favorite Star Trek aliens ever.
Okay.
And if I remember correctly, they're only in one movie. They're not in any episode, to my knowledge. They may have been mentioned here or there, but I think they've only been in one movie, and that was in Star Trek Nemesis, the final Next Generation episode. And it was great because we had a Reman played by Ron Perlman, who's freaking amazing, the great Ron Perlman. And Tom
Can you show us what they look like? What do they look like?
You're going to love it. You're going to freaking love these guys. And Tom Hardy played a Captain Picard clone, and he was freaking amazing in it. Let me look these guys up very quickly. They look amazing, but also their ships look amazing. What are they called? The Scorpion, I think, is what their ship is. So here is Ron Perlman as like the main Reman. I'll pull him up here. Everybody listening in that can't see it and doesn't know, it just looks like a tribble, basically.
Yeah, right.
Look how awesome that guy
really
looks.
Ugly alien. Yeah, that's crazy makeup. That's crazy makeup.
Yeah, really, really good.
So this was in Star Trek Nemesis?
Yeah, the final Next Generation movie.
Okay.
If I remember correctly. And they have these really cool ships called like the Scorpion. Let me see if I can pull that up very quickly before. So, wait. No, we still haven't seen, I don't think we've ever seen any Remans outside of just that one movie, which is a bummer because I really liked them. I mean, they look awesome. So look at they're like little 1 or 2 person ships, right? Check this out. They're super sleek. They almost look aquatic,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they look cool. Looks like a stingray or something.
Yeah.
Whoa, those are really cool.
Yeah, they're amazing. They're gorgeous. So anyway, but then it's kind of a bummer because it was at the very end of Star Trek Next Generation. It was in their last movie, and that was it. So I don't think we've ever seen them again. But everybody in the live chat and in the comments below, please let us know. Have Remans been mentioned outside of that movie? I don't think they've appeared, but have they been mentioned maybe? Anyway, so those are Remans, and the reason they're relevant to the Romulans is because they're on the same planet, I believe. It's like Romulans and Remans, and they're kind of like a subspecies. They're like a race of kind of like underlings, if I remember correctly.
What was Tom Hardy? You said Mirror Picard or something. What was?
Yeah, he was.
What it? A Reman or no?
No, he was like a clone of Captain Picard that was like born later. Here I can show you that. So it was like he was cloned, 20 or 30 years later. So he was like a younger version of Picard in the movie. Pretty cool. Anyway, so just want to touch on the Remans because they're freaking amazing, and I hope they get more love. I hope we actually get to see some. I keep feeling like we have, but maybe we have not. Anyway, but then on to the main story, which starts off with Shax and Ransom doing that glorious stretching scene reminiscent of Beverly Crusher and Deanna Troi. And Shax is getting stretched. He's like, just let me die, which starts off with a bang.
I only know that scene because you've talked about it now for a while.
Oh, yeah.
And we've definitely gone over that a few times. You pulled up the images, and it reminds me of the Jane Fonda workout video clothes that you used to see back in the day with the leggings and the onesie.
When you said onesie, it was almost like you were getting flashbacks, PTSD from onesies. You're like, those damn onesies. Yeah, you know who else had a onesie? Who was it? I saw somebody. Oh, at the very end of the episode, when they're walking through the museum at the end, and they're just people. There was the humans that were in their cage or behind the glass. They looked like they were wearing a Molly O'Brien onesie to me. It was very reminiscent of Molly O'Brien to me. But there were a lot of things that reminded me of other Star Trek things, or definitely were. Did you get the one non-appearance mention? I didn't. I think it was just one.
Yeah, I got one non-appearance mention. Who was it? I don't think I wrote it down, but I did hear it.
I'm going with Mirror Universe Archer. Now,
yeah, there it is. That's who I
right.
Got. Yeah.
Now he held up his toy, so maybe technically that's that, but I don't know. I think it's a non-appearance mention. It's nice to hear Archer. Archer gets mentioned a lot in this show, which is great. By my count, Archer has been mentioned a total of. Let me see if I can find him. I don't see him, but it's been a few times. The person that's been mentioned the most, though, is Kirk and Spock. Actually, are tied with 9 each.
Okay. All right. John Paris. He's got some mentions.
Yeah. Okay. Why can't I find Archer? Anyway, we'll have to come back to that. But Archer's definitely been mentioned. So, anyway, back to
that scene. The scene that you're talking about with they recreated the Crusher and Troy workout scene. This has to be an Easter egg because when we talked to Amanda about doing the art and framing up angles of shots and whatnot, those things are really done with purpose, and it goes through a process of approval and step by step. So there's a moment there, and I don't know if you saw it, but when I did see it, it was when Shax is laid backwards in that scene. The way they drew the shot, if you look at Ransom's foot, it seems to be protruding at the exact place where Shaq's junk would be stored. So it looked like they had him, have a boner in that
junk
moment. It looked like as he's laying back, like he has a boner in that moment, and it actually matches the lines, like, something. Phew.
What's funny about that is that no, I did not notice that.
I had to rewind that a few times.
But now I'm definitely going to go back and check that out for science. I just want to, fully understand. But no, you're right. There's no way that's an accident, because it's not like
exactly at the right spot.
If this were live action, sometimes a camera can pick something up that's an accident or that's a happy coincidence. But when you're drawing it, you are very cognizant of what you are drawing. Like
here's what it looked like.
Wait,
actually, I have where's my? There it is. Where? See that?
Yeah.
There it is. It kind of looked like that. That's the close up of it. That's it. I didn't draw him fully lying down, but if you. It's so obvious. I was like, there goes some Easter eggs, plural.
Hey, some Easter huevos. No, I missed that, but I'm definitely going to go back and check it out. And I feel like everybody else might do the same. They're going to be very curious about what's
it was very clever placing of the staging of the shot and the way it was framed in that image.
And that was in the mirror?
No, it was in the foreground. It wasn't in the mirror.
Oh, wow. And it paid better attention. But did you try scratching your fingers on the covers and going pss, 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 pss?
Yes, I did that already.
That was really cute, really funny.
I did like that. I like that a lot.
So let's get into all of the Easter eggs, because there were.
Okay, but in that same scene, by the way, that I'm talking about, the bottom of Ransom's shoes have a Starfleet logo on it, which was actually pretty cool, because I noticed that there was a lot of merchandise in this episode that was being, branded with the logo and kind of casual wear. And the bottom of Ransom's shoes in that same shot that I'm talking about had the logo on there. And you couldn't see the other bottom of his other shoe because it was part of his framing of the shot.
Oopsie. Okay. Well, yeah, we'll talk about all those Easter eggs. Let's take a super quick break, everybody. On the other side, we're going to talk about all the Easter eggs we found, and everybody's going to correct us and be like, you missed the obvious ones, which we might have. We'll be right back on the seventh rule. Hey, everybody, welcome back to the seventh rule with Cirroc frickin' Lofton.
Hello.
Here they come, the trivioids. And during the break, I just noticed another Easter egg because Cirroc showed me, well, whatever. So here are the trivioids. Torturing Remans always leaves behind the biggest mess. Reman juice never comes out. Ransom and Shax have hot fudge sundaes for well-earned cheat day. Mariner wants to earn her demotion. Ensign Boimler's new room is right next to a nacelle. Narge has a hard time telling non-botanical creatures apart. The Moopsie is Narge's favorite. For the past year, Ensign Rutherford has been working to decrease vibration in the warp manifold by a factor of 0.05. The Moopsie drinks your bones. Dr. Ta'ana cosplays Captain Picard from Cupid. What? All right, everybody, boy, that's a lot. But very quickly, we just want to remind you that we can also be found on wherever you do your audio podcasts, whether it's Spotify or Apple Podcasts or whatever you do, wherever you go, you can find the seventh rule for our Deep Space Nine and Next Generation reviews, or you can find the seventh rule 2 which has all of our new Star Trek series reviews. That's Discovery, Picard, Lower Decks, Prodigy, Strange New Worlds. Please make sure you are subscribed to both of those, The Seventh Rule and The Seventh Rule 2. Give us a 5-star rating and a nice review. We'd really appreciate it. It helps us out a lot. All right. So during our break, Cirroc walked me through finding this Shax's item that he mentioned. And because of that, I noticed an Easter egg that I hadn't seen before, which was in the background, there was like a helmet and a shield, a few helmets and shields that looked like they were very obviously from this Next Generation episode with the Anbo Jitsu or Anbo Jutsu. So check this out. It's Riker and his dad have this battle, and so I saw there were some of these helmets and some of these chest plates. So that was a nice. So that's how this show goes. The more you watch it, the more you pause it, the more Easter eggs you find in there.
Anbo Jitsu.
Yeah.
That looks like a page out of some Tron or something.
Yeah.
Or that American Ninja Gladiators or whatever it was, that show.
I worked on that show. Oh, no. You're talking about American Gladiators.
Yeah.
With
Nitro
and Ninja. Yeah, that was great. Bring them back. So there's a giant list of these Easter eggs. One is when you saw T'Ana dressed up looking like Robin Hood, she was actually, in a way, cosplaying Captain Picard in the episode Cupid, because in this episode, look forward to this one, Cirroc, they get transported to Sherwood Forest, and Picard is Robin Hood, and Vash is Maid Marian, and Riker is Little John, and Worf has possibly the funniest line in the history of Next Generation in that episode. I don't want to spoil it for you, but everybody that's seen the episode knows it starts with "I'm not," and it's and he's very mean to Geordi, which is also hysterical. He breaks something of Geordi's, and it's very funny. Anyway,
so what was the? I want to ask you because I've heard the word the Menagerie. What's it called? The Menagerie. Mm-hmm. We haven't watched that episode yet, but I've heard it referred to. Is it an episode?
Yeah, it's actually the original series. Star Trek, the original series, the Menagerie. But it's kind of been used in a bunch of sci-fi things, so it's basically like humans are trapped in an alien zoo, so it's like weird, we're just kind of like just another species to these other aliens. It was also done in the Orville episode 2 of season 1, but anyway, so and the joke was that this was the top 1,000 menageries, and this one was called the Miraculous Menagerarium. But
Naja's was it Narja's Miraculous Menagerie? Yeah. Say that 3 times really fast.
I can't even say it 1 time medium speed.
So that's what the original Menagerie is. It's about humans being displayed like at a zoo type of situation, which actually comes from, in my recollection, the Twilight Zone episode, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh.
There was a Twilight Zone where a family was living, and only towards the end do you find out they're actually living on display at a zoo type of facility. So that was a cool episode of Twilight Zone. But so I just wanted to know that because I felt like there were all type of menagerie and jokes that I was missing, but I guess it wasn't too much.
Not too much, just the reference that kind of space zoo is used all the time in sci-fi tropes. But another fun one, let me see. There was Ensign Gary. I thought for sure he was going to die. He did not die. I was kind of bummed about that because he was a red shirt. So Barry J. Kelly, who we had for episode 1, supervising director, I should say. He told us there was going to be one more Strange New Worlds crossover Easter egg. And I found it. I was worried that I was going to miss it, but it was when Boimler is in the Jeffries tube, when he's moving into the Jeffries tube, and he has his little toys up top, and into the corner, he had his Join Starfleet poster with Una on it. Remember that one?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So he had that up there as like his decoration.
Yeah. Okay. That was a really deep cut, but I did see that poster though.
Mm-hmm.
There were lines in here that I kind of really liked. There was Ransom telling Mariner, "Almost on time. Well done." Like, just that made me laugh because I'm always late. So, also, when the one Ensign Gary says, "I need to replicate some new pants," after she does that crash landing into the docking bay, I thought that was hilarious.
And then he referenced them later, saying something like, "So much for my new pants," or "Those didn't last long," or something like that.
Yeah, exactly. And Rutherford coming up with these new words. I don't know if you wrote all the words down. I only wrote one down, which was the replicator's femtoseconds. You know, like, I'm trying to increase the replicator's femtoseconds, and I'm like, what the hell's a femtosecond? And then, but he had that for each one of the things that he was trying to improve. Some kind of word that was like a normal word, but kind of tweaked a little bit. I forgot what the other ones were. One of them was about the tubes or something to that effect, that he was trying to get
right. He had those two tubes, and then Billups was like, Livick got 3 tubes, and he named it the Billups tube or something like that, right? Yes. That little ass kisser.
Yeah. It reminded me of the back and forth between Rutherford and this guy Livick. It reminded me of Seinfeld and his
Newman
beef with Newman.
Yes. Very good. Yeah, totally.
Yeah,
totally. Especially the way Livick then said it. He goes, "Rutherford and also Tendi."
Yes.
Very good. That did crack me up.
Like that.
Ransom's teeth cracked me up, like when he got them replaced, and they were just like big and chompy.
They were big. Yeah, he had the Steve Harveys. He ordered the Steve Harveys. They were big. Ensign Gary also saying, "I should have been an outpost scientist." I don't know, something about that made me laugh, the way he delivered it. Because you know how sometimes, when you find yourself in those moments, you're like, "No, I should have just went to the movies or something." You're in a situation, you're like, "God, I should have just did the other thing that I was thinking about doing."
Mm-hmm. Oh, there was one other toy that I noticed. Sorry, I should call them action figures. There was the Wrath of Khan Spock. There was Green Shirt Kirk. Those are kind of deep cuts there, because Kirk had his green shirt on very rarely, maybe just 1 or 2 episodes, something like that. I don't remember. Okay. But there was also what appeared to be First Contact data. And it was data from the movie First Contact, Star Trek First Contact, where he's got like a rifle when the ship is getting taken over by the Borg. I think that's what it was. I kind of had to like lean in to make sure, but it looked like it was First Contact data when Boimler was in his Jeffries tube. There were 3. There was Wrath of Khan Spock, Green Shirt Kirk, and First Contact data. Mariner saying, because I'm a free spirit. I don't know why that made me laugh. I think that was delivery by Tawny, that she really knew how to deliver that to make it work.
Funny, super funny. it was the way she paused, the pause, and
Yep.
the kind of like, it was a self realization, like, I'm bull. This is bullshit, right? Like, there was a moment where it's like the way she was delivering the line was like, because I'm a freak spirit. Like, it was like realizing this argument is not good enough right now for this defense. I loved the delivery, and I thought she was great on other things too. Throughout this episode, but I really liked her cute little tennis outfit. To be honest with you, that little black Starfleet little tennis outfit.
You're gonna cosplay that?
Yeah, that might be that's cosplayable, ladies and gentlemen. The black and white tennis outfit looks really good. That's a decent cosplay right there.
Mhm.
And one of my favorite things. This was actually, Barry was talking about the power that they have to go any direction when they're doing these kinds of things, right? They can go action, they can go comedy, they can do serious stuff. And one of those examples kind of reared its head for me in the love story department when I heard Rutherford kind of voice the fact that he had turned down promotions to be near Tindy, right? And it was a casual kind of throwaway, but it did check a box for me of, wow, I like this guy. He's this whole time he's been turning down his own advancement so he can stay
Mhm.
close to his lower decks crew. And it just made me like him even more. And it also made me, in the romance department, say that was a romantic thing to do for somebody. I like that.
Yeah, it's very cool. I mean, Rutherford keeps showing us that he and Tandy are like the nice people of the crew. They're just
Yeah.
constantly out nicing each other. They're the decent people. Tandy's wonderful. They're both kind of spastic, which is fun, but they're also very caring and very selfless, and to their own detriment, especially with Rutherford, where he's turning down promotions so that he doesn't leave his friends. That's unwise. You will still have friends. And he
Yeah,
wants to just
it's
bunk with them.
unwise, but the fact that he never even disclosed that, like, he kept that to, like, somebody else would probably say, hey, the only reason I'm still sticking around here, I could be da 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 da, I could be here. It was something that he wasn't even revealing to anybody, like that he had done that. It's like a secret that he was keeping. I just thought it was a romantic thing. I know it's unwise, and even Tindy was like, "What the hell are you doing?" Like, you
Mm.
um, but I do think it was romantic, and I also thought it shows a lot about Rutherford's character. Like, he doesn't really care about the fame or recognition or accolades. He's more into the science and problem solving. You know, uh, I respect that about his character.
He's
I
an
like that.
engineer through and through. He just wants
Yeah,
to fix stuff and solve things and be smart and be nice and have fun. What a
yeah,
life. Um,
yeah.
I wanted to point out too, a couple other things that I noticed in kind of the final scene where the humans are left in that zoo and it's just showing everybody walking around. One was there was a family, there was two adults and one kid there that kind of were orange faced, and it reminded me of original series Aliens. Let me see if I can find them. These guys right here, I forgot which episode that is. I think one of the characters it says was Sayana. Uh, but anyway, like the parents look like this. They're kind of orange bodied and kind of poofy white haired, kind of reminds you of somebody you may already know right now. But with the super orange face and the poofy white
Yeah,
hair. But
yeah.
but also so I feel like that was a reference there. I'm pretty sure that was an Easter egg to those guys. I forgot what that one of the characters' names was Valian. I think the Vol. I think they were from the planet Vol, and they were the Valians or something like that.
Okay.
But one that I am sure of was there were also two fish aliens walking by. And these two fish aliens were clearly from the Next Generation episode Manhunt, because if you'll look at this fish head alien from the, I believe it's the second season, so we're coming up on it because Cirroc and I are reviewing Next Generation episodes as well. We're coming up on this very soon. This is actually Mick Fleetwood behind that mask from Fleetwood Mac.
Really?
If I remember correctly, Antedians, I think they're called. If I remember correctly, he was a big Star Trek fan. He wanted to be in Star Trek, so they said, all right, put this mask on and walk around for a day. And that was Mick Fleetwood.
If I'm not mistaken, I went to a restaurant in Maui that was Fleetwood Mac's restaurant.
Really? That's cool.
Well, it's not so cool now because it might not be standing anymore, but
depends on where it is. Yeah.
If it was in Lahaina, it's not. But yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, here it is, Mick Fleetwood as this Antedian.
So that's him in underneath all that stuff.
Yeah, you could barely recognize him.
That's a super fishy. Something's fishy about that.
Yeah, I mean, it didn't change him on the inside. It was all superficial. It was just on the outside.
And Narj actually reminded me of like a banana.
Bananas in pajamas.
There was something about him that reminded me of I don't know, Bert and Ernie from the Sesame Street, kind of like a little bit Bert and Ernie, a little bit Banana-ish. That Narj's character.
He looked like a corn on the cob to me.
Okay,
but look, this is what you're talking about right here.
Yeah,
bananas
like
in pajamas, right?
Yeah, that's kind of what he looked like to me with his Narj, and I just was tripping on his. Is that an alien that we've seen? This character?
I don't recognize that one.
Okay.
He just looked like a corn. He looked like he was a corn to me. That was it. That's all I got on him.
And Mooksy was so cute, obviously, like one of those Hello Kitty type characters that you see in a lot of Japanese stores when you go shopping and stuff. They have those cute little characters, like a Mooksy.
Mm-hmm. So before we go, everybody in the comments below, please let us know what other Easter eggs did you see? Because I'm sure there were some in these like windows that we may have missed. I think there may have been a lot of original series stuff. There may have been that original series dog with the horn on it. I think I saw that, but it looked like a puppy with the horn. So let us know in the comments below, what Easter eggs did you see? What Easter eggs do you think may have been Easter eggs? Because there's some of these where you're, pretty sure, but not 100% sure. Let us know what we missed. Well, overall, what did you think of this episode? Did you like it?
Yeah, it was good. I liked the episode. It wasn't my favorite episode so far. They've had so many great heavy hitter episodes.
Yeah.
But there's so many little things that I took away from watching this. Like even things I didn't notice in before. For example, when they're in their bunk bed, lower deck, room, I never noticed that each one of the beds had a number on it, and I saw that for the first time in this, just like, oh, so each one of those beds has numbered. And I just really appreciate the details to when I'm watching this stuff now. I'm starting to see all of the level of detail of what's happening on the pads. For example, when they're carrying a pad, there's so much detail just on the pad itself. These guys are really doing a great job of world building for me when it comes to the Lower Decks world. I immediately find myself, accepting the parameters of their world and being invited into their space each episode. So kudos to them for keeping it going.
You ready to get disgusting? That was a Ta'ana line. Yeah, I liked it too. Similar to you, it's the attention to detail. We've grown accustomed to their attention to detail. It almost feels like you could pause at any moment and catch an Easter egg or reference. You could catch something you didn't like. I've never noticed those numbers. You'll catch something, whether it's a movement or a line or a painting in the background or an action figure. So they've got this incredible attention to detail. It's kind of reminiscent, forgive me, but of Disney. I know Disneyland, they, kind of their motto is when they're designing these things, they're like, how can we make it more Disney? How can we sneak in another hidden Mickey or another reference or something like that? And Lower Decks is doing that. They're saying, how can we make this scene more Star Trek? How can we add something? What else can we add or reference or change or alter to make it even more Star Trek? And I just love that because it's celebrating Star Trek is what it's doing, celebrating that world. And Ensign Livick, he's coming for us, I think. I think we may not have seen the end of him.
And also one other trope I like that they never talk about, but the positioning of where your room is. It's just like when you get on the cruise ship and you might have a room here, a room there, and where it's positioned makes a difference. And so just a simple thing, a detail like that, where you would not really think anybody's paying that much attention to, they took something like that and made a whole storyline for Boimler going into the bright room facing the nacelle. He called it the nacelle room. And just like things like that, where he's standing, he's next to the holodecks, he's in between two holodecks, and he can hear Freeman on this side and Shax and Don on this side. I think those are great tropes that Mike McMahon and his crew are really great at doing, taking very kind of mundane, everyday aspects of life and amplifying those things and making them subject matter and topics of discussion. Works well for me, and those are the details that I think makes it nuanced and original.
Couldn't agree more if I tried, which I won't because I completely agree. But speaking of subject matter that we'd like to give a special thanks to our friends, Homer Frizzell, Dr. Anne-Marie Siegel, Eve England out in Wales, Yvette Blackman, Tom, TJ, Jackson Bay out in Missouri, Bill Victor Arukin.
Arukin.
Whoa. Titus Muller, Darlena Marie, Dr. Muhammad Noor, Tierney C. Diekman, Anna Post, Anil O. Palat, Joe Balsarati, Mike Gu, DQ, Pause, our good pal, Justine Norton-Kurtzen, Dr. Stephanie Baker, Carrie Schwent, Faith Howell, Edward Foltz, my live from Tokyo, the Matt Boardman, Chris McGee, Justin Weir, Jake Barrett, Jane Jorgensen, Henry Unger, Allison Leach Hyde, Julie Manosfi, Marcia Classic Schreier, and of course, Dr. Susan V. Gruner and Jason, the outrageous Oaken. Man, what a team. Yeah. All right. That's it, everybody. We will see you next week. This was a fun one. Hope to see you again real soon. And until then, everybody, always remember the 7th rule.